Managing 3.5 billion in media, empowered by creative automation, data, and AI. DEPT partners with the world's most influential platforms every day. Whether that be to enhance brand recognition, outperform performance marketing, or improve customer loyalty, we never hold back. We're decoding data from millions of ads across 165 countries and connecting every touch point in the customer lifecycle, from social to search and from retail media to CRM, to deliver actionable insights, ROI-focused strategies, and lasting relationships. ADA, our proprietary MarTech platform, offers over 100 world-class solutions, delivering personalization at scale and utilizing AI for smarter decision-making while respecting people's privacy. Our team of 2,000 plus media, creative, data, and AI experts worldwide are pioneers in brand consumer communication, crafting award-winning campaigns that add fuel to the fire of business growth. DEPT Growth, pioneering media.
Good morning, and welcome to the official opening of Growth Marketing Week here at DEPT. We have the honor in Amsterdam to kick off this 3 days of 30+ speakers and lots of topics to discuss. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. It's Q4. We're all busy with plans, strategies, big topics, but you made it. So thank you very much for being here. Who is this guy? My name is Erwin. I'll be your host for today. I have the honor to talk a little bit about what we're going to do, but the real speakers are going to be our two guest keynotes. Little housekeeping. In the room here, please turn the phones off, or at least on silent, because that would be great. And for people watching through the stream, we are now in a desktop environment. You can find the live chat there. You can find the timetable for the rest of the program, but also Easter eggs, content, and cool things. So while you're listening to us and you're browsing around, make sure you browse around in the desktop environment. The program for today is me opening this up. So that will be done in a few minutes. And then we'll move it up to the team of Foot Locker, presenting a bit on how they automated, basically their daily work. And then Robert from KPN will discuss some of his top secrets in search and how he connected the dots on that side. But before we dive into that program, I want to bring you into a little anniversary of myself, because it's close to my birthday, and it is actually 25 years ago that I got a personal computer the size of a refrigerator, a modem, and thus my first internet connection. And I still remember to this day, I was on the phone with my best friend Joost, and we used ICQ. Most of you probably don't know this, but he sent me a message through ICQ. I could hear the "uh-oh" from ICQ, and something happened on my screen. And I still vividly remember how that was mind-blowing to me. He sent me something from the other side of the country, and I had something changing on my screen. This literally, for me, was a life-changing moment. My parents were in the room, and they thought I was a magician. They literally talked to me like I'm a wizard in tech. And funny enough, after that moment, every single time I talk to my friends, my colleagues, I'm kind of the guy that knows what's going on in tech. I'm the tech guy in my friends, in my group of friends. So yeah, maybe I was a bit of a magician. Until last week. True story. 2023. I have a 15-year-old son. He's in his exam week for school. Best week of my life. No struggles at all, no fights whatsoever. He's in his room doing his homework and his studying. And I hear him talking. And I was like, hey, what's going on there? He should be silent. He should be in his books. So I go upstairs. I open the door and I find this. My son is on his Chromebook, but he's not typing. He's talking to his Chromebook for his speech-to-text recognition. This guy's using ChatGPT to enhance his notes and yeah, basically cheat. While he's doing that, he's also listening to music on Spotify. He is also watching some sort of tutorial on YouTube. I am certain he is on the phone with friends in a Snapchat call. And I am also certain that he was watching, I don't know what type of videos, but he was on TikTok at the same time. Yeah. I thought two things. One, he's a magician. And two, I'm old school. I'm old because I didn't understand anything of this. And things are changing, right? In our field of industry. And I've been in this industry for quite some time now. And I'll be very honest, it's quite difficult, even for the tech guy, to keep up. Because so much is changing for us these days. There are so many innovations and so many things that we have to keep up nowadays. Because back in the days, it was simple. You had Google and maybe a bit of Facebook advertising. Those were the days. But speaking of platforms and media, like every big media platform is still growing double-digit numbers. Even for the, like, let's say, older platforms as well. On Twitch, because my son is a gamer and likes to watch streams, I did a bit of research. The top 5 streamers on Twitch in the English language, they get over 1 million hours of view per day. I didn't recognize a single one of them. Again, I'm old. In media, retail media is a new word, a new trend, but we're only a few years away from 100 billion market cap on media spend in that channel alone. It's insane. It's growing. AI, yeah, we all read about it. But apparently in Midjourney, people are creating 2 million pictures and images every single day. And it only took 2 months for ChatGPT to hit 100 million users. It only took Instagram Threads 2 days to hit the same number, only to lose 70, 80% the next day, but still. And you can say, hey, maybe, Erwin, what are you throwing these big numbers? It's not about the numbers. What I'm trying to say here is mainstream is changing. These are all mainstream platforms, innovations, channels, where my son, who's 15, is at. And you could say, hey, he's a kid. No, he is a consumer. I spend more money on him than I do for myself, right? So he's actually a 15-year-old consumer with money in his wallet. But are you on those channels? That's really the question. So I hope that during this week of Growth Week, with our speakers, the content and everything else, you can find some inspiration. But I also hope you can find small tactics, strategies, ideas that you can implement. Because you can have the best strategy in the world, but if you cannot implement it, it's absolutely useless. So with that said, time for the real content. Happy to introduce Nikolai from the Foot Locker team. He's a techie. This is the guy who actually tinkers with algorithms in his spare time. And he's going to talk about how he has automated his daily work. So please give it up for Nikolai.
Good morning, everyone. Everyone here, everyone online. I hope you had a nice cup of coffee. So my name is Nikolai. I'm leading the paid social and programmatic channel at Foot Locker. And today I want to talk to you about media and automation. Why I picked this topic is because we have such a busy day-to-day lives. Like there are so many tasks that need to happen, so many things that we do basically from the start of the day to the end of the day. So for that topic specifically, I'm gonna discuss through the lens of paid social and programmatic, just to give you like a bit more information, because it can be very broad when we talk about media, but I want to narrow it down to those specific channels. Why do we automate things? We are busy. There is so much things that we do on a day-to-day basis, and how automation can help us is actually eliminate those repetitive, easy tasks that take a lot of our time. That will free up much more space to do things differently, to do things that are important, and to focus on things that can actually change and bring innovation to the table, as opposed to repeating the same things over and over again, day by day. How can we do that? What is the main aspect of that? It is basically to eliminate those tiny repetitive tasks. So, for example, whether it's going to be setting up campaigns, it's not that complicated, but if we have to do it multiple times in a day, it's very time consuming. What else can we do about it? We can automate. At the moment, there is quite a lot of available solutions to basically automate almost everything in our day-to-day, especially when we talk about activation of campaigns, whether it's going to be the setup, whether it's going to be the targeting, whether it's going to be the how we optimize and how we shift budget around. There are solutions available for that can help us bring do much more with our time in the day. Specifically talking about campaigns and budgets. Personal example, we have an evergreen, always-on layer, which consists of more than 20 campaigns, 80 ad sets, and 150 ads. Those campaigns and those ads, they need to be optimized, okay, probably not on a daily basis, but at least 2 to 3 times a week. On top of that, we have a bunch of other campaigns that are coming from the vendors, that are coming from our brand marketing team, that they also fall under our responsibilities and that we need to activate while maintaining that bulk of ads. Furthermore, we have 6 markets. We operate in 6 markets. We have more than 3 strategies per market, and we have weekly schedules for targets, whether it's going to be the revenue, whether it's going to be the budgets. That also needs a lot of manual work, a lot of repetitive work. And what we did for campaigns, we managed to use automated ads through our partner Smartly, which helps us build the setup from a feed. So basically, we put all the information that you need, whether it's going to be around the targeting, creative, copy, landing pages. Everything goes into a spreadsheet, and you connect that spreadsheet with the tool, and it basically automatically builds everything, all the rows within that spreadsheet. On the budget side, there is a predictive budget allocation tool, which basically helps us schedule our targets, our weekly targets. So at the start of the month, you import everything on a weekly basis. You set the campaigns that need to use that budget, and that basically the tool predicts the performance of each campaign and allocates budget in the beginning of the day, and that happens every single day. So at the start of every day, all of the campaigns are fully optimized based on their past performance and based on what we're expecting from them to deliver in the next couple of days. So what this does for the overall time consumption and like the workload that me and my team are facing is that in the old setup, we were spending more than 60 hours a month setting up campaigns, optimizing, shifting budgets around. That's, when you think about it, that's almost like a week and a half of your time literally spent on things that don't really bring that much innovation, but it's just maintenance. And that's the main goal of optimization, to eliminate those repetitive tasks so you can focus on something better. So now with the new setup, what we actually have is we spend less than 10 hours a month doing all that. In the beginning of the week, set up all the schedules, check if the performance is okay, and everything is running automatically on its own without any need of our input. Furthermore, speaking of paid social and of course Meta, I do want to talk to you about advanced shopping campaigns. I'm sure most of you have heard about them. It's the new AI automated campaign type from the platform. So what it does is it takes away the targeting aspect. So you don't need to specify your target audience. It does it for you. All you need to do is provide general demographics and your content, your ads. It also merges the prospecting and retargeting campaigns under one. So instead of having 2 campaigns for each activation, if you want to do like both upper and mid funnel, everything falls under one, and you just set a percentage. What type of, how many of the users that you already have you want to be targeted by this campaign. So what it does is it does twice as much reach and 15%, 18% lower conversion CPA. How it does that is because the main benefit comes from that automated targeting. Because when you're selecting your own interests, your own audience segments, you're narrowing down the target audience, while there might be purchase intent outside those interests that you're not capturing with your standard approach. By using advanced shopping campaigns, you expand your targeting, and you're not limiting yourself only to the interests that you want to convert, but to everybody that actually wants to convert. That brings the main benefits of the campaign. Also, significantly simplified setup. You basically just need to put your ads into the campaign. That's it. You forget about it. A couple of best practices on how to run a successful advanced shopping campaign. You need a lot of creative. Because targeting is kind of taken away from you, the only control that you have over the campaign is actually the creative. So you need to have at least 3 variations, different formats, videos, images, dynamic carousels. Basically, collect all the content that you can gather and put it in the campaign, and let the algorithm decide which asset would work best for which audience. The second point is conversion API. Because the algorithm needs a lot of data to actually learn from those signals. It needs to know much more than the metapixel can deliver. That's why conversion API is vital. You need to have it in order to run a successful advanced shopping campaign. And the last part, you need at least 2 weeks of runtime, because all that data needs to be processed. The campaign needs to learn, needs to find the right targeting for the products and for the content that you have. So the peak performance of these type of campaigns starts from the second week onwards. So we've automated basically the easy stuff: campaigns, targeting, budgets. Let's take it a step further and talk about creative, because that's the difficult one to automate. I'm sure you've all know this ad. It's everywhere across Meta. It's basically the most standard, plain, unattractive ad you can have. Everybody uses it because it's easy, and in some cases it works pretty well. We wanted to change that. So we partnered with Smartly and DEPT, tackle this challenge and automate the production process for dynamic product ads on Meta. The solution, AI. We took a couple of steps. We went through the creative insights of what type of content has worked well for us before, what resonates well with our audience and our products, just to get a little bit more of an idea to how we should structure the prompt and what should we expect from that generation. Then we designed the image template following those insights, and we got to work. We took a sample of 1,000 products, so we wanted to do an initial test. So we took a sample of 1,000 products from our product feed. We ran them through the tool, which basically removes the background, so it only shows the product image, and then it generates 5 variations for each product line from the feed. So that's five images per 1,000 products. That's more than 5,000 images generated in a second. If we had to ask our content team to do that, they would not have been happy. And we ended up with the final result, which is much better looking, much more attractive, much more engaging ad, which features the product in a much better way than the standard white background. And we have the results behind it. We saw 32% increase in click-through rate, and we saw 22% decrease in conversion CPA. Conversion CPA on Google Analytics data, just to confirm, not Metapixel. Results were there. People were liking it because it stands out, it's something different, and it really engages you in seeing the next card. You want to click through. You want to see what's going to be the next image, what's going to be the next background. So in a way, it kind of takes away a little bit from the product focus, but then when we talk about standing out from the competition and really grabbing the attention in a very overcrowded marketplace, this is probably the best way to do it, and results are there to show it. Speaking about competition, I just want to quickly discuss some interactive formats. These should have been videos, but maybe we can share the QR codes and you can play with those afterwards. So basically, again, we partnered with DEPT for our back-to-school campaign because we had a very interesting situation. So we used the Meta and Snapchat AR filters, where with Meta it was more of a shareable, engaging approach, while with Snapchat we were looking for digital try-on. So we wanted people to try the new Exotech shoe from Puma before they buy it. So what we did there is we were in competition with ourselves in this case, because Puma wanted, this was a product launch. So Puma wanted a specific campaign only for that model, while in the meantime we were running a huge back-to-school campaign across most of the channels. So how we approached this is basically we designed a platform-exclusive campaign for Puma with the digital try-on, which only focused on the product, while on the left we actually had the general back-to-school activation. So in general, speaking about competition, what you need to do is find the right approach to your audience, how you can stand out, how you can engage with them in order to bring their attention to your ad, to your product, to your brand. Including this type of interactive formats in our campaigns actually brought 8% uplift in ad recall and 5% uplifting in brand consideration. And that's compared to the standard campaign without the AR filter. So we did like a split A/B test with brandless studies. And with that, we've automated everything now. There is nothing else to do. What do we do with all that free time? Well, we spend that bandwidth to test, because that's how you grow, that's how you improve, and that's how you move forward. There are so many tests that you can do in those channels. Campaign structures, audiences, creative tests. There are a lot of things that can be tested. A couple of points from my side is document everything. Regardless of whether the uplift in the test was minimal, so like before 5 to 10%, it makes a difference. Even the smallest changes make a big difference once you start iterate, once you start building up on those tests. Document everything, implement those insights for future tests, and you don't have to start big. You can start with something as small as just a tiny change to the creative or a tiny change to the copy, and iterate from there and grow from there. Speaking of tiny changes, on the left, again, the standard boring white ad, which everybody has seen. On the right is literally just a shift in the angle of the product. And what we saw is 15% uplift in engagement rate and 13% uplift in overall media efficiency, just from that tiny change. That is basically proof of how the smallest differences can actually bring up the performance and improve the overall results of your campaigns. So let's wrap it up. Main takeaways from this is automation can really help drive better results. We have the data. Automation works. You basically just tell Meta which click, which conversion you like. They'll find the person to actually make it. personalized content is the way to go when you want to stand out from the competition. It's a very overcrowded marketplace, and you need to find the right way for your brand and for your product to cut through the noise and reach your end consumer. And finally, rapid testing. You need to test in order to find out your winning strategy, in order to find the path that works best for you. And with that, that was my part.
Thank you very much. All right. So this was all rehearsed. Now we're going to the live questions. Yeah. So that's good. I'm not watching my anything else. I have my questions here. But let's start with the room first. So does the room have any questions you want to ask to Nikolai? Yes. So Ivan, could you? That's a good test. Also in the middle and the back. Yeah. But the microphone is coming your way, sir. Yeah.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. One question on the generative AI. What kind of tools do you use to get all those variations?
Yeah, so basically for that we partnered with Smartly, who are working on a creative AI solution, which is a blend of ChatGPT and a couple of other language models. At the moment, it's still in a pretty basic stage where we only can do 1,000 products, which is why we did that test with 1,000 products. And also it's currently in Google Sheets, while further down the line, they're planning to actually move it in platform.
Did I answer the? Yep, good. Yeah, I have a really good question from the live audience. Did you at any point felt you were killing your own or your colleagues' jobs by automating so much? And I know there are some colleagues in the room, so but please try to be honest.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question. The short answer is no, because what all this automation, all these like innovations bring to the table is enable you to do more. It's not like you're cutting someone out of the job. You're actually allowed to, you're increasing your production output by minimizing the time you spend on these repetitive menial tasks. There's plenty of work for everybody.
That's good. Well, that's good. I suppose to know, because when we talk to our clients, oftentimes there is a bit of this fear. So great shout.
The focus is basically shifted towards more strategic thinking and focusing on things that you cannot automate, basically.
Fair enough.
And there's still plenty of things that you cannot automate.
That's good. That's good. So the short answer is no. Don't worry.
No, don't worry. It's fine.
Your colleagues will still be around for next
Be
Christmas.
excited about it because it is a great thing.
Good, good. A little bit in regard to the question on the Gen AI. There's a worry in the chat that by using automated processes and generative AI, the ads become, or the creatives become too bland, to maybe not stand outing as much as they could. So what
Did
is
you
your
see the example?
I suppose they did. But still, I suppose there's a fear, like everybody puts the input in the same machine, so the output is going to be very similar.
Yes, so then the main differentiation fact would be how you prompt it. Because, again, it can produce the same output if you ask it to do the same thing in the exact same way. If you change your prompt to a way where, for example, how we did it with first gathering creative insights, looking at what works for us, and then basically adjusting the prompt in a way that is personalized for our products and for our brand, I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And maybe because we're talking AI, Gen AI, so that's the advanced, fancy stuff. You also talked about how you have automated basics and let's say the groundwork that most of us have done or are still doing manually. So how can you explain what your biggest, breakthrough of a challenge was on getting that automated?
The biggest challenge, I think, is the setup time. So it all sounds nice when I say it's like less than 10 hours a month doing all this, but you actually need to put in the time to set it up. That's basically the bulk of the work, but then you're doing it once and you're setting yourself for the long run. I think that's the biggest challenge, especially with the more simpler things.
Yeah, makes sense, I suppose. Looking at the room, is there any question? Yes, there is. Mike is coming your way. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for your time. So I wanted to ask about the rate of your experimenting, because you mentioned that before, okay, you were doing, let's say, like a lot more of the menial tasks, but now you've moved it. How much have you accelerated how many tests you're doing and the variations, let's say, of the tests that you're doing?
Yeah. Quite a lot, I would say. So back in the past, I think we had the capacity to do 1 to 2 tests a month max, and they were still fairly simple. Now we're doing more than 12 a month. So quite a lot.
Good. Yeah, well, thank. Anybody else from the room? Yes, sir, in the front. Mike's coming your way.
How do you automate your budget?
Yeah, so it goes through that the Smartly tool, which is with budget allocation. So basically, we split it up per market, per phase, so prospecting, retargeting, and then the different priority markets for us, and we set the budget scheduling based on those priorities.
Good, nice. Browsing around. Kind of have we have a little momentum going here. I like that. That's good. Yeah, man. Yeah, go. Yeah.
You spoke about meta advantage options, right? How do you see that for business that need or a hyper local targeting, like a supermarket, let's say, like neighborhood marketing?
Yeah, probably not the best in that case, because the main proposition of the Advantage Plus shopping campaigns is broad targeting, right? So go broad. Meta will find the right person for your product and for your brand. If you need to do hyper local targeting, then I think it's better to just run it with the standard campaigns as opposed to Advantage Plus.
Nice, good tip right there. Browsing around, and you just broke the trend. That's good. I have a question though, because you've mentioned what you've been doing, but I want to hear what are you going to do. So what's next?
Oh, that's a good one. What's next? Well, first, like we're going into peak Cyber Week, so it's quite busy. But in general, the main goal is what I showed you now with the AI augmented backgrounds is to go outside that 1,000 product sample and have it across the full product catalog, and also do much more testing in terms of variations, because now we did like 2 variations, one with the blue background and one with like the park background, while basically the possibilities are unlimited. So we can definitely improve much more on the uplift from that. So that's to come.
Yeah, so it's the scale.
The scale,
exactly. The innovation.
Spread it out across all products and then do much more testing in terms of like the variations.
Makes sense. Thanks so much. All right, last chance for the room before we pass on to the next topic. No, I think we're good then. In that case, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so now it's for me to introduce Robert. For people who just dialed into the live stream, welcome to Growth Marketing Week from DEPT. We're going to pass on to the next speaker. Robert, I know Robert for over 10 years. I've worked with him on many projects, and I can honestly say this guy is probably one of the most competitive marketers I have ever experienced. And he actually knows what he's talking about. He's so competitive that he was able to rank organically on the brand name of his competitor. The secret is in the top. It's in the talks. So pay attention. He's going to show you how he did it. And with that said, please give it up for Robert.
Thanks for the introduction, Erin. As you can see, the title might sound a little bit fancy, but let's dive into some of my secrets regarding search data and the toolings that we use at KPN. But first, let me quickly introduce myself. Let me start by saying that I'm feeling at home here, but that's not only because of the warm welcome that I've got, but also because I worked at DEPT in the past. So I know the building and the people. However, 3.5 years ago, I decided to leave DEPT and see what KPN has to offer for me. Mainly because I wanted to see how I could change a large corporation from the inside, rather than giving advice outside in, and see how I can make things change at a pretty old corporation. So, and where Erwin told you that he is a decent chef, I dare to say that I'm a really good chef. And when I'm not working or cooking, I really like to watch some Formula One or other car races because, well, it's about tactics and speed, so both the things that I like. First, let me introduce KPN a little bit to you for those in the room or listening at home who don't know what we are. We're the oldest telco in the Netherlands. We have the best fixed network and mobile network even of the world. And we have the ambitious goal of connecting 80% of the Netherlands to our fiber network by 2025. So it's a big rollout going on in all the streets in the Netherlands. So if you see someone digging, it might be because of KPN. Let's shift to the online market that we're in. And if you look at it, we have three main challenges. At least that's how I see it. The first one is that we and our main traditional competitors are moving from old school offline sales, stores, call centers, that kind of stuff, to online. But the thing is that the online market is already pretty busy because there are a lot of other people who sell or resell the same products that we do. So we're also fighting for our spot within the Google search results or other search engines. In addition to that, there's also a broader competition, which means that we are broadening our product portfolio. So we're also starting to sell tablets, smartwatches, smart home devices, additional services like Netflix subscription, or security, password managers, etc. So also what we're selling is getting bigger and bigger, and more products. And last of it is we also have well, I will not say a retention problem because we're the best provider in the Netherlands, but what you see in the bigger market is that more and more consumers are treating their phone or broadband subscription more as a commodity, and some of them are switching every year. So on the one hand, you get a lot of customers in through your acquisition channels, but you also need to make sure that they don't switch every year. So that's a big challenge for us, and that makes the market pretty competitive. So this is me on my first day at KPN. And this new market and playing field, it gave me a bit of a headache once I started to know what KPN was doing, what we were looking at, the challenges that we're facing. What did I get myself into? That's the first thing I was thinking. But then, I like to think a lot. I thought to myself, okay, what can I do within my domain? And she searches my domain to get the most of it out of this competitive field for our brand. What possibilities are there to outsmart our direct and indirect competitors that we're seeing when you look at Google? But before we start, let's go back to basics. In online marketing, and I think also in traditional marketing, in the end, it's all about eyeballs versus money. So every marketeer will tell you they want to have as much eyeballs on their brand and their products as possible. That's what we all want. But on the other hand, we always want to be sure that we're either getting enough conversions and that we're not paying too much for it. So the optimum game that we would like to play is how can we optimize our visibility, get as much conversions out of it, but don't pay too much for it. And with these basic principles in mind, I started thinking, how can I apply this to what we're seeing in search and what we're doing with search engines? So this is the seed that got planted in my head. Well, as I told you before, and also the people who know me, and Erwin told it also, is that I'm a pretty competitive guy. So I always want to win. That's also probably the reason why I started with SEO, because you're constantly fighting other domains and competitors in the SERP, search engine results. So that's also why I succeeded in ranking on #1 for the brand name of one of our biggest competitors. I'll tell you afterwards how I did it exactly. But sometimes you can't win on your own. And that's tough to realize, but unfortunately, that's the truth. But you have to think about the bigger picture, and especially the team picture, so to say. And then I thought, okay, figure out what your own biggest strength is and see how you can use it to help the rest of the company and your colleagues that are more or less in the same field of work. All for the greater good, of course. And the first step in this process was to realize that search is not primarily about getting as much traffic to your own website. It was pretty hard to swallow for me because I grew up, started working. Okay, I want to be a #1. I want to have all the clicks to my organic result. But maybe that's not the answer. And that was, well, a tough one to realize. Instead, you should focus on getting as much visibility for your brand or your products using search. And of course, in the most cost-effective way that you can. Let that sink in for a second. The second thing that you maybe didn't realize before is not all your competitors are created equal. So if you look at your search result, and especially for KPN, I identified 3 different kind of competitors that we're up against when you use Google. I started to say the distinction between the three types. And the 3 main types that I saw were our peers, like the traditional other telcos, Vodafone, Odido, etc. I think you might all know them. We're in the same playing field. We have our products. We sell them directly to customers. But then we also have a lot of, well, I call them e-tailers, but like comparison websites, affiliates, other parties where you can have a broader array of products, also from our competitors, but they're also attracting a lot of traffic. And the third pillar that I identified were publishers. Websites that write about the content and the subjects that are also relevant for us. They're also getting a piece of the pie that is out there. And all those 3 types of websites or domains are competing for the same eyeballs and the same users. And they all have their own specific pros, cons, and ways we can beat them or maybe even join them. People sometimes say teamwork makes the dream work. But a winning team is not a dream. I think it's a reality. And you only need to be smart about how you do it in the end. The trick is, in my humble opinion, to use the slipstream of your competitors. See what they're doing, attach to it, and in the end, surpass them and make sure that you get the most out of it. Find out who is getting which kind of traffic. So if you know who is getting which part of the pie that we're all fighting for, you can find a way to get the most out of it. In the end, it can be so that you have them pay to get more visibility for your own brand. Of course, with a close eye on additional sales in the end. The trick is that once you know which websites or competitors or type of competitors are getting the most clicks for certain topics or subjects, you need to share this information with your colleagues, because as a search specialist, you're sitting on a lot of valuable data. And what I've seen in the past is Usually they keep it to themselves or use it to optimize their own work. But the trick that you need to know is share your data. Please break the boundaries within your own company and share what you know, because that is usually the trick to defeat your competitors. Well, it's maybe more easily said than done, but how can we do this? First, accelerate with what you already know. The key to winning is to share the information that you already have with the people who are waiting for it. Maybe they don't know they're waiting for it, or they don't know that you have it, but please be more vocal about the information and the data that you have, and make sure that you find ways how you can share it with your colleagues. Your search team probably already knows which websites, and thus your competitors, are getting. Of course, this will be approximately and not until the exact click precise, but and also for which topics they are getting the most traffic from search. This tells you at which websites the eyeballs of your potential clients are looking, maybe even right now. Your search team can also tell you how fierce the competition is for certain keyword clusters and who is bidding on them. This tells you which websites are willing to spend a lot of money on certain topics. Do you want to join the fight, or do you let them pay a lot of money and save it and maybe spend it in some other place? Your search team will also tell you which keyword clusters and topics, including intent, there are within certain broader topics. So you have like a broader topic, for instance, SIM only. But if you dive deep into it might seem like a small topic, but if you dive deep into it, you see that there are maybe 10, 15, 20 subtopics where there are all different competitors taking a piece of the cake. Some quick and easy tooling. I mentioned some on the slide. This is what we're using at KPN. No rocket science, no AI involved yet. You can always use it, but these sources start to give you the insights that you need to beat all those micro battles that you're fighting with different competitors in the search results. So let's start with an example about what we call like a topic data deep dive. When we start a search deep dive, we first start with gathering all the data. So what are the keywords that people are using? What is the search volume? How is it divided? So we get a good feeling for what the whole topic is, how big it is. That's most of the times the easy part. The harder part is when you start to to add intent and relevancy and break it all down into clusters. So as you can see here, this is more of a mock-up, but we have a whole topic divided into certain subtopics, and also see who are the competitors, who is taking the biggest piece of the cake, and what do we need to do to win all these micro battles that we've identified. So once you have the data, once you divided it, know what the intent is for a certain keyword cluster, you need to win all these micro battles to win the overall game. And you cannot do this by your own. You need to work together with people who are doing direct deals with publishers, or do some branded content, or make sure that you have an optimized SEO, SEA budget split. I've been talking a lot about competitiveness of our market and how diverse the search results will look. So here I have an example for SIM only. I think one of the most competitive keywords that we have. And the funny thing is, if you scroll through this, of course, you see the ads at the top, and the shopping results, and the organic results. But there are also a lot of different types of competitors that you see here. So we have like the traditional ones, like KPN and our direct competitors. You have a lot of comparison websites, e-tailers, and also even some publishers who are all fighting for these top positions within Google. I think it's a utopia to think that we as KPN can drive all of the traffic that we want to our own website using ads and or organic results, because you only have at best, well, 2 results if you skip shopping. So you need to be smarter. You need to know which websites are getting the most clicks. Especially in this case, there are at least, I think in the top 5, there are already 3 or 4 comparison websites. So maybe it's cheaper or a better solution for us to focus on being visible in a good way on those websites than trying to be number 1 and paying a lot for a click, or getting a lot of SEO efforts, which maybe in the end will never work. So need to be smart about on which parts of the battle you're focusing. I already quickly touched upon this subject. Spend your money wisely, because you can only spend it once. I don't have to explain that, I hope. And there are 2 ways to look at it. So the first thing is, how do you spend? If you know where your competitor is spending, do you also want to spend your money on that part? Or do you maybe shift your budget to a direct deal or to display or something else? If you know where they are spending, you know it might make sense to not spend at all, or make a really educated decision to do it. On the other hand, also be sure that you get the optimized results between your SEA spend and your SEO efforts. How are we going to balance it out? It's always a trick, but you can make it work, trust me. Second one, collaboration. I already talked about the fact that you need to break internal silos. Talk to your colleagues, share what you know, and I think with the information that you're getting out of your data research, you have the insights on, for instance, I shared them on the e-tailers. Okay, what are the commercial websites that are getting a lot of traffic for those topics that are interesting for you? Make sure that you do deals with them. Make sure that you're visible on their website. They are already doing all the hard work. So please use that to your advantage. Second one, publishers. Of course, they're not really commercial most of the times, but they are attracting your audience. Be sure that if people go there, you know on which URLs they are landing. Make sure that you use their power to get, in the end, your own sales and your own eyeballs. And the last one, I think this is also an interesting one. Use the data to improve your own website. 2 things that stand out for me is the first one, once you start looking in depth to what competitors are doing, you see that you'll be missing some features or some other smart things. And an example that I always like to use is when we started exploring what our competitors were doing, we saw that a lot of them had like a comparison tool for different phones. And we said, yeah, okay, it looks nice, but we also saw that it was attracting a lot of traffic to the website. So that got us thinking, this is something that we also need to have to be at least level with the competition. And the second one is, because you break up a topic in like 15 or 20 subtopics, you can identify which topics you are missing. Well, this of course probably will give you some additional organic traffic because you have more landing pages. But another much overlooked aspect of this is that you're also able to create a better customer journey because you have the content and the information that people are actually looking for. And I think that is what you need to do in the end. Oh, that was the laser. I was not supposed to touch it. So to wrap it up, 3 main takeaways. It says gather the data, but I think most of you already have the data. The thing is, realize what you've already got and start sharing it with your colleagues. I think that is one of the most important takeaways for today. Second one, divide and conquer. So make sure that you identify the micro or mini battles that you have. Who am I up against for which subtopics? Because it will differ most of the times. And finally, start small and start fast. Because please, you have the data, start today. Because if you're not doing it, your competitor will be. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with questions from the room first for Robert. So any hands? Yes, in the front.
How do you ensure that your paid search ads don't cannibalize your organic traffic?
Good question. At the moment, it's a mix of automation and manual work, but we're working hard also together with DEPT to fully automate this process. And it's, I think it's the holy grail. So that's probably why you're asking it. But we're slowly getting there. And the most difficult thing is to get your whole data warehouse in order to make sure that you have, and also people around me have the confidence that we can steer on it. And it will never be like an instant thing, but I think for most of the campaigns, we should be able to automate this process.
Nice, thank you. Anybody else from the room? Yes, please. Nice.
So you mentioned teamwork, and I was wondering, so in theory, link building falls under SEO responsibilities, right? But in practicality, I think it would be valuable to include PR, for example.
Yes.
So do you think, would you say that that would, from now on, for example, fall more under the responsibilities of PR or exclusively SEO, or maybe a collaboration of both? Thank you.
I think I can 100% agree with you. I personally don't really believe in link building per se, as in, okay, I'm doing a lot of effort to get some backlinks because I do SEO and it helps me somewhere down the line. I believe in collaboration, and I believe in telling the KPN story to the outside world. And PR or communications is the best way to do it. And it's nice if I get a backlink because it helps in the end, but I also believe that we need to share our story. And it's impossible to think that you can only do it on your own domain. So once you start reaching out to the online publishers or media outlets, etc., they will be also naturally willing to give you a backlink or something like that. But I think I can fully agree with your train of thought that you need to work together with other departments.
Good. All right, then to the live stream questions. I'm going to combine a few
no problem.
questions into one because it kind of comes down to the same thing, which is saying, what was your most difficult thing of having the data and the insights to actually using it and getting it implemented?
Yeah, I can understand the question. I think the most difficult part was to enrich it and split it into subtopics. Because if you take a big topic like SIM only that I used, there are a lot of niche topics within it. Like how do you go from a prepaid to a SIM only, or different options, etc. So make sure that you have that you break it down, and also combine it with, okay, what is the intent of this certain cluster, and know which competitors you're up against. And then you only need to have a battle plan to win. So that's usually the easy thing. But like the part in the middle, to go from a lot of data to something that you can use, that's usually where the most time is the most time consuming.
Yeah, that makes sense. You mentioned the word micro battle, which I'm going to steal for sure on this topic. But how do you, if you split up in topics, then how do you prioritize? On which factors or variables do you sort of?
It depends on where you're already performing well, or if you have maybe some deals already in place with some e-tailers or publishers, so that also helps. And we also already, I also talk to the business. So what are the priorities of our marketing department? Where do they want to focus on?
Right.
Are there new product launches coming up, or a new proposition, or are there higher margin products that are more important to them? So it's not all about what we want or what we see. No, we present them with what we found, and we say, okay, what are your priorities? And let's find the best way to combine it, because in the end, it's all about making money.
I suppose it is. Yeah, it is. All right, back to the room. Any other questions for Robert? No? Oh, yes, sir.
Hi, thanks for your talk. So I wanted to ask a little bit about your collaboration approach, because I know that SEO sometimes is not the sell-all for the entire organization, and particularly for, let's say, like older, more established organizations. So what's your approach to convincing the naysayers who might not necessarily agree with the approach?
I think you need to ditch the word SEO and approach it from like a different angle. So first, people need to know that you can also give them information instead of you being the one who is doing what they're asking you. So share what you have. And what I always say is, Google is also a user of your website. So see it as one of your most important visitors. Google likes to have a false website. The visitor also likes to have a false website. Someone who's searching would like to find certain information. So please, Google likes it also. So see Google more as a often returning visitor to your website, and let people see that you're trying to improve the customer journey on your website. So it's not all about SEO and technical stuff. Leave it all behind. Do the nerdy stuff when you're at home, but when you're at the office, talk about what you can offer your clients, of your customers. Sorry.
Nice. I want to talk about speed. Following this question maybe a little bit. I know KPN a little bit. It's big, it's corporate, lots and lots of departments. I know you also had success of speed with ranking on a particular keyword. How do you manage that? How do you manage the speed to implement in an organization like KPN?
The trick that I'm using is often identify which projects are already running. So there's always a lot of moving pieces. Sometimes they move slowly, but you know that things are moving, and then adapt to it. So once we do like a deep dive on a certain topic, we also attach the outcomes of what we find. Some of them can be done in the run phase, so day to day, but sometimes you also identify bigger projects, and we always say, okay, we don't make it a standalone SEO thing. I also try to, go piggyback riding on another project, or make sure that I convince other people to join my business case. So I never try to do it alone, because I can succeed, but it will take much longer.
Nice. Great tip. Yeah, then talking about the search ecosystem.
Yes.
When we close our eyes, we think about search, we see Google.
Yeah.
However, we also see social platforms are more
Yeah.
and more becoming a search engine.
True.
So is this something that's on your radar? Is this something you're working with? How do you see and approach this?
This is certainly on our radar, and I think, this is something that will be a big issue, no, not issue, but it will be a big thing in the future. Especially if you talk to younger people, if they need to fix their bike, they don't go to Google, they go to TikTok. I don't know how it works, but they do. So we're already starting to create more video content, for instance, and be active on all those socials. But there's still a world to be won for us. But I see it shifting, and the same goes for marketplaces, etc. People just search, and in the past they all went to Google, and a few people went to Bing. But the field will change, and this is something that we have to adapt to.
Yeah, makes sense. Final question.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with this topic, but you mentioned at the introduction you're a great chef.
Yeah.
Signature dish?
Ooh. I think my mushroom risotto.
Mushroom risotto. Nice. That's good. All right. Robert Royakers, everybody. All right. Well, I suppose that kind of brings us to the end of this talk. This is where we say goodbye to everybody joining us virtually. Again, keep in mind, you're in the desktop, so explore and go find those Easter eggs. You will get content in the follow-up. You will get access to a lot of great content, cases, material, white papers, you name it. I hope today was a good starting point to find some tactics and ideas and inspiration to maybe integrate into your plans. And keep in mind, it's all about the implementation, because without implementation, it's all fugazi, I suppose. If you have any questions, follow-ups, you can reach out to me. So QR code, Erwin, find me on LinkedIn, find me here in the office. I can point you in the right direction on any topic that we have discussed, or if you have any other deep dive questions, happy to support you. And I also want to make sure that you're aware that this was not the end of Growth Marketing Week. This was just the beginning. So later today, we have more talks, tomorrow and the day after as well. So there's a full program for everybody to join. I'm assuming not everybody in this room can make it to Berlin, London, or US. However, there are also streams available. So please take a good note on the program if there's anything you want to say. With that said, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for being here again this morning in Q4. Really appreciate it, and thank you so much.